Well, now, it is Thursday, and you know what that means? That means TL... I said this already, no.
No, it's just on cooldown, man.
On cooldown, baby, the weekly Wagner show, and you know, we have a couple of things rounded up, you know, 9.1.5 updates, but the big juicy
was about to say,
thing that... Well, let's just say this. Now, Towelliee, I guess a lot of people know who Towelliee is. He's been like streaming since like forever. You know, we're fans of him or whatever. But the most important thing about Towelliee is he's had deep connects with Team 2. That's the WoW development team for a while now. And do you remember when he said that 9.1.5 will be, let's say, addressing a lot of the community feedback and stuff back when nobody knew about 9.1.5 and what's gonna happen and whatever? He basically said that it's gonna please a lot of people. And lo and behold, it turned out to be true. That, and he talked about, you know, he doesn't leak stuff necessarily, but he talks often enough on his streams about the World of Warcraft things that you wouldn't normally hear about. And he's careful not to leak stuff or whatever, you know, because he probably has good friends over there. But this, my friends, this is
he
one...
clearly knows what's gonna happen, even if he doesn't say what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And he did say something that was very, very...
Okay,
rightfully so clipped.
Yeah, let's see, because I think McConnell clipped this, and we definitely have to hear what he had to say about 10.0. Okay, so shut up, everybody. Let's listen. Come on now.
I mean, I could tell you that 10.0 is going to be different. 10.0 is going to be very, very, very different. That's all I can say. It's going to be different.
Wait for it.
It's going to be different. And I'm not saying it in a bad way either.
This is the jewel.
I'm saying it like, you can clip me right now if you want. But just so we can reference this moment years, maybe a year or two from now.
Okay, so it's going to be different, but I think the jewel of what he said is, and I don't mean that in a bad way. Now, we all know Towelliee has also been critical of WoW for a long time. It's not like a shill. He's not known for a shill or whatever. He has friends in the WoW dev team, but he was like one of the more voiced and opinionated people on World of Warcraft. He's like not playing it anymore, right? He's playing New World and Final Fantasy or whatever, and he had his criticism of it. Now, for him to say that it's going to be different in a good way, what could that mean, man?
Man, like my head is spinning right now thinking of all sorts of things, like a new class, like a redesign of the combat system, like an upgrade over all the textures in the game. Like I don't know, like anything that can almost be considered WoW 2.0. Maybe they're gonna turn it upside down and, you know, rethink of what expansions are supposed to be and not just have the same thing over and over again in external systems and stuff like that. Like, you know, sky is essentially the limit, but I think different is good. Well, even if it was whether or not it's, you know, awesome or shit, it's at least good that we're breaking the mold, and we're at least, it's hopeful that they're possibly risking things, taking some risks, because I feel like they've missed on taking risks for a very long time.
It's true, and you know, being different kind of like implies that what we were used to may be changing. So let's take a look a little bit on what were we used to, at least from the most earliest expansions, most latest expansions, like going on from, let's say, Legion, you know, the modern era.
How far back do you want to go?
No, we have to talk about the modern era of WoW. We can consider, like, I would say, like, what would be like the transition period, and Legion is the modern era going forward.
Or maybe like MOP, isn't MOP where you kind of started to have like Excel spreadsheet talents?
Yeah, but
they were kind of like minimized in Kata, but then MOP kind of reintroduced.
Now, MOP was still very much in the old-fashioned thing, like in the grand scheme of things. There was not there was not like the so much external power, so much. Of course, you had the grind and stuff, but it's still considered.
Well, it kind of started with Legion in a sense, because we've had the
Legion is basically
spec-focused classes, so that's when people lost a lot of stuff because the spellbook was getting too cluttered. And okay, fair enough, it was getting a little bit too much. If every expansion we would have the new talent row, 1 or 2 new abilities. And obviously that at that point when they took it out in Legion, they made the argument is like, you know, a player comes into the game and sees like 50 spells in his or her spell book and is getting a little bit overwhelming. Okay, that didn't run well with all the people, but sure, they tested it out. They saw that it was a little bit iffy in their implementation, hence the unpruning that we had in Shadowlands and the refocus on class fantasy without being a detriment to spec fantasy as well.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking maybe they're in terms of character progression, I'm hoping they're coming up with a different way of character progression. Maybe talents will be redesigned. Spells.
That's where I was going with it, because I mentioned this in a couple of podcasts, right? Ian Hatzikostas did say in the Preach interview that they kind of acknowledged this issue with borrowed power, and they kind of want to slowly stray away from that and return to a more character deserving progression and, you know, power gain rather than external stuff. So the first thing I'm thinking about is actually the talents of the specs, probably some new or more individual way of gaining power as a spec and maybe as a class, but will not be so dependent on, you know, external stuff as we were used to with the modern age of WoW. It's different. So the word different, right? It may mean that could be possibly a return to what made WoW great again. It could be also like more emphasis on the world.
I think it might be something new, because if you listen to Towelliee, because we can unpack him psychologically, he had a lot of pauses there because he felt like he wanted to say something like, no, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that. But he chose to say different. Now, I don't think it's going to be different as in what it once was, because he would have said it's like, we were going back on the roots or whatever. I think he might have
be too much though. If you would say, yeah, we're going back to what it was or something, that would just say,
but right. I think he could have used other words except different, because different. And when he had to clarify, it's like not in a bad way. It's clearly something good has happened, and if that good wasn't particularly obvious at first, that means it's not something that he encountered before in the past. So it's definitely something new. And I kind of wanted to go back to like, oh, maybe we're getting a class, but that's not necessarily
It's not different.
It was
right?
That's not different.
Classes.
So a new spec for all classes.
Yeah, my idea from years ago would be something interesting, like a hell of a chore to balance, but that would be really interesting. And I don't know how they pull it off. I don't know if they would have the manpower, but that would be really cool.
Maybe like a redesign of the 3 pillars of the game right now: PvP, raids, and dungeons.
That could also be a thing.
Maybe we'll have, I mean, this is just wishful thinking from somebody that does pretty much all 3.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe we'll have gear sets for each. Maybe we'll have tier sets for dungeons and tier sets for raids and, you know,
that would
tier
be
sets for
also a thing.
PvP as well. I mean, it's not necessarily new, but it's not necessarily what we had before, because never in the history of WoW, ever since up until Legion at least, were dungeons that impactful in a player's playing experience. Dungeons were always supposed to be a stepping stone to getting raid gear. That was the natural progression. You do dungeons and then raid. You don't like, oh, I can do dungeons or raids. It was never like that up until Legion. So but maybe they'll do something with that.
I don't know. It's just, I don't know. We're naive thinking here, maybe cautiously optimistic, but this kind of got us excited once again, because, you know, being I would say bit of good news coming from a really trusted source like Towelliee. It must mean something out of it is true. And once again, I do want to underline this. He did say that we will see more details about this, or no, quote him, in a year, maybe 2 years from now. So that would mean
no 9.3 clearly.
Clearly no 9.3, but I'm expecting something to be announced in maybe February or March next year, maybe at a sort of a Blizzconline thing, if they still want to do it. And it's because the game needs something really bombastic.
It would kind of match the time frame if you think about it, because obviously 9.2 is probably not gonna be here this year, definitely not gonna be here this year, and at the very earliest will probably be very early 2022, unless they plan an event like BlizzConline a little bit sooner, or at least pre-launch of 9.2 and say, okay, 9.2 is coming out, the PTR is out, or whatever they decide, which is still like a long time. I know it's a long time.
It is fucking long time.
But with that, they can say, and let's talk about 10.0.
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe they'll probably start with 10.0 and say like, okay, and let's check what 9.2 is out. Or it could be that 9.2 will be out by then. It'll be talking about 9.2.5 leading up to the pre-patch of 10.0. I would imagine that's kind of where the BlizzCon Online could be. Now, whatever happens, I suppose.
I mean, I think we can make like hours-long videos on speculating on what different would mean for the next expansion of World of Warcraft. But hey, listen, the comment section is there. What do you think this means? What could they possibly do so different? Could they take, I don't know, information or ideas from the other MMOs that are currently now, let's say, more popular? You know, Final Fantasy, New World, and all that.
That would
or
be
are they
very
cooking up
Blizzardy.
something? Yeah, I mean, it's their tradition, right? They look at something and they kind of make it better. Well, they used to, anyways.
Yeah.
But it's all up for grabs here, and speculating is through the roof. We kind of are hopeful, let's say, for this, again, because Towelliee has proven to be a trusted source, and whatever he said, you know, prior to things on upcoming content for World of Warcraft, they came true. And it's no secret he has ties with a lot of the folks on the dev team over there. And you have to let us know in the comments what you think would this mean, and if this different is in a very good way, would you come back to play more? Is this exciting for you? And we also have a couple of news.
It's like this is not just what happened, but this is clearly the biggest, most important thing. And maybe to somehow kind of fuel this hope is like we have more cool things. Quality of life changes, and most of all, I mean, it's not like they're not big changes. We have stuff like obviously a couple of class buffs in there, which is kind of nice because they've skimped on class balance for a couple of weeks now in a row.
Still waiting for some more big changes on that.
Ever since mid-September, I think they've stopped doing class tuning, or at least publicly in patch notes. So they're buffing, for instance, I think the Death Bolt of Affliction Warlocks.
Oh, let me get to that. Where is it? Or Warlock. This is player PvP though.
The PvP talent, which was, you know, was essentially, I think it was introduced, was it in 9.1 as a PvP talent, or was it 9.0? Whether or not it was, they're definitely adding balances. I hope that obviously they touch upon all specs. What's more interesting, although it's a minor thing, it does help. A much bigger problem that you cannot really see is the quality of life adjustments to currencies. Korthia as well. This is not Korthia.
This is it, right?
Yes, but also not. They so right now.
What the fuck?
You know.
All right, let me get to it.
The relics, man. It's Korthia and the Maw.
Here.
So right now you can farm rares and get your relics, but they're loot locked for a day. They will remove that, so subsequent rare kills will get you relics. I don't know if the same amount or a reduced amount, but you can essentially farm them, which is something that we've been missing in MMO. Like, this is the kind of farm that it's okay to have. Not, oh, okay, we don't want people to spend 24 hours a day in the game, so we're just gonna limit them looting this once per day, which is bullshit. Because if you want 1,000 relics, you'll have to spread that out over the course of a couple of days or a week, rather than just getting it in one day. Which is the same thing that happens to Soul Ash, again, same thing that happens to Korthia relics, and something that happens also to the followers, which they're adding the vendor for the you can buy with anima. What is it called? The time bound? No, this is what we already have. So we have Wings of Memory,
and this is the thing.
We have the 5,000 XP ones. 5,000 is not a lot, because even if you use the one that we currently have with the 75,000, it gets you your follower from like level 1 to level 30-ish something, which is, I mean, it's okay, but getting them to 60 is incredibly difficult, especially when they're unlocking covenants the way they are to have more accessibility. So what this essentially says is that they're recognizing that their currencies or whatever farmable currency we have in the game is not implemented properly when it comes to the farming, and this just kills the MMO aspects. Like, you have to grind something, but not having it gated anymore is good. Not having the followers having to be leveled in like 7 months or whatever bullshit it takes to level this is stupid, because you have 4 covenants and we're supposed to eventually explore all of them. When are you going to level all of them? Maybe you don't like mission tables, that's not important. What's important is that they're taking away this gating, this, oh, you need to play the game for like 7 months to get everything else. Like, if you have a cyclical release of content where it's seasonal based every 4 months or whatever, 5 months, then don't make me have to farm 10 months for something. It's like, it's either make it seasonal or don't make it seasonal.
It's definitely solidifying this new vision or philosophy they have for the game, and I know it's kind of late for a lot of people, because obviously a lot of folks got bored and tired of all the skating and stuff. It's fair enough. I'm just saying that, you know, them having all of these changes, like even the minimal ones to followers. I don't know how many people give a fuck about followers. I certainly do not. But it just goes to show that they go underneath like all of the details under the hood to make it so that it's not as restricted anymore, which is in theory at least a good thing, and hopefully this will translate even better into 9.2 and the different 10.0.
I just really hope that I'm actually very happy to see anything that's not removing paintings and changing names.
Oh yeah, that's. I mean, sure enough, you know, it's their game. They do whatever they want with it. It's a different.
They do whatever, but actually fix the issues with the game.
Yeah, I just want the game to feel good. I honestly don't give a fuck about a painting, whatever. But that being said, you know, there weren't major changes to the 9.1.5 updates. It's basically small here and there, as they kind of got us used to for the last couple of weeks. I'm still expecting that whole big list of class and spec stuff. Yeah, this is probably
one of the biggest patch notes that we've had, or maybe one of the most relevant patch notes that we've had in a couple of weeks now. So it's actually kind of good. It's, you know, it brings us back to like, oh yeah, they are working on things. It feels a little bit slow, but then again, I mean, can we really argue about their delivery time, considering how unfinished 9.1 kind of felt, although it wasn't really unfinished, it was just rushed.
Yeah, it's hard times over there, I'm sure, and you know all the things that you know they had to go through, especially, you know, the WoW dev team. But I'm pretty sure a change is happening over there, and by the looks of it so far, it's promising. Adding on top of that, what Towelliee said and what he knows about the upcoming expansion, pretty exciting. Hopefully, we will all get to see it soon enough, and we get probably a release date, or but at least some footage and discussion about it sometime next year. And that being said, I think we can wrap it up. It
was pretty short and sweet. We did have one of the juiciest.
Yeah, we love doing the shit like this. Whenever things like this happen, it doesn't matter if it's a brand new WoW expansion or whatever. You know, good news, man. Good news. Things that all of us enjoy and want for the game. Well, it's sort of happening, so we're sort of happy. I know about Flame, but I'm happy.
It's pretty exciting. I've been missing hints of something to be excited about. So it's actually, yeah, I can see it. It's pretty cool. So maybe you guys will let us know what you think. Again, 9.15 can be an awesome patch to come back if you want to kill Sylvanas and get it over with
and have some ults.
They do have a large amount of quality of life changes, so we can only hope the 9.2 is better, and even more so 10.0 looks to possibly be very exciting.
Yeah, we're on that copium for sure. But you know who's not on copium? Our patrons, baby, because they're supporting the content that we do over here. You already know. Class guides, Mocast podcast, the On Cooldown new series, this TLFs, you know, Tier List Fridays, and a bunch of other more stuff that is to come very, very soon. So thank you, patrons, for all of your support. You know, it's like this basically enables us to do more quality and more quantity in the same time. So thank you very much. And hey, listen, if you wanted to join the Patreon team and get some awesome wallpapers with your main character, or watch bloopers or Patreon monthly chats, I can see Flame hanging his finger over there in the description. Come on, man.
It was already there, man.
Link is in the description. Thank you for watching.
Take care, everybody.
Say something now.
Hey, thank you for watching the video. See you next time.
Bye.
I've been loving it then, I still love it now. Still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. Getting better every day, let me show you how. Cause still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. It's getting harder to stay, but at the end of the day, it's a guilty pleasure, so just log in and play. Whether it's classical retail, I'ma do a /bow. Still, I play WoW.